Let me tell you something very real. No matter what you do, someone will always have something to say. Whether you're too loud or too quiet, too ambitious or not ambitious enough, too bold, too reserved, too this, too that. It never ends, and for the longest time I tried to fit into those ideas. I thought if I was good enough, kind enough, small enough, maybe I'd finally be accepted. Maybe people would stop talking. But here's the truth I learned the hard way: they never stop talking. So the real question is, are you going to waste your life trying to live for their approval, or are you going to live for yourself? People will always have opinions on your body, your choices, your career, your relationships, how you speak, what you wear, how you smile, and they'll give it to you whether you ask for it or not. They'll dress it up as advice, concern, tradition, or even love. But you have to learn to tell the difference between feedback that helps you grow and opinions that are meant to shrink you. I remember when I won Miss World, you'd think that moment would be filled with pride and joy. And it was for a minute, until I started hearing comments like, "She's too dusky, her nose isn't perfect, she only won because of this or that." Suddenly, this achievement, something I had worked so hard for, was being picked apart like it didn't matter. And that's when I realized something: life changing. You can't win with people who have already decided you're not enough. So what do? You stop giving your energy to those voices. You stop twisting yourself to fit their standards. You stop asking for their approval. You learn to ignore most of the noise and trust your own voice instead, because that's the only one that will guide you to where you're truly meant to be. You see, when I started doing films, critics said I wouldn't last. When I moved to the U.S. and did Quantico, people said, "Oh, she's trying to be Western now." When I married someone younger and from a different culture, people asked, "Is this for publicity?" At every stage, someone had a comment. But guess what? I kept walking, not because I didn't hear them, but because I chose not to give them power, and that's something you have to practice, choosing where your attention goes, choosing whose voice you let inside your head, choosing what you take to heart and what you let slide off like water on glass. It's not about being arrogant or dismissive. It's about protecting your energy, your peace, your purpose. Because if you start editing yourself to please everyone, you end up losing the essence of who you are. Let them talk, let them whisper, let them criticize. You don't owe anyone your dimmed light just because they can't handle your shine. You don't have to argue with them, prove them wrong, or win their approval. Just do the work, show up for yourself, build your life like it's the only one you've got, because it is. The people who matter will see you, and the rest, they're just background noise. So the next time someone throws an opinion at you like it's the truth, smile, nod if you must, and move on. You have bigger things to do. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you learn, shape, fake, fall into, and eventually become. And here's the truth: there have been so many moments in my life where I had no idea what I was doing. I was scared, I was unsure, but you wouldn't have known it, because I chose to wear confidence like a costume. Not because I felt it, but because I had to. We live in a world that tells you to be humble, quiet, grateful, but also bold, fierce, unstoppable. The contradictions are endless. If you're too confident, you're arrogant. If you're not confident enough, you're invisible. So I stopped waiting for someone to give me permission to feel like I belonged. I gave it to myself. I walked into every room, onto every set, onto every stage like I had earned my place, even if a part of me was still convincing the rest. And guess what? That costume, that armor of self-belief. Over time, it became second nature. Because confidence doesn't come from the outside, it comes from constantly choosing to back yourself even when no one else does. Especially when no one else does. When I was doing Quantico, I was the first South Asian woman to headline an American network drama. It was historic, yes, but it was also terrifying. New country, new industry, a world where I didn't know the rules. I was the outsider, and on top of that, I had to act in English every day, carry the weight of representation, and prove that a woman who looked like me could lead a prime-time show in America. Was I confident at first? No. I was terrified of failing, not just for me, but for everyone who might come after me. But every single day I showed up like I belonged. Like this wasn't my first time, like I was made for it, and eventually I grew into that version of myself. That's the power of pretending, of stepping into the version of you that you're still becoming. People think pretending is being fake. It's not. It's rehearsing. It's preparing your body, your mind, your energy to handle the life you say you want. If you want to be a boss, act like one. If you want to be fearless, move like you already are. Let the world catch up to your energy, not the other way around. Of course, some days will feel like a mess. There will be mistakes. There will be people who try to cut you down, people who say you're too much or not enough. And on those days, confidence feels the furthest thing from real. But even then, put it on. Even if it's wrinkled, even if it doesn't fit right that day, because when you fake it with intention, when you fake it while doing the work, it becomes real. I've walked into rooms where no one looked like me, rooms where I wasn't expected to be there, and I've held my head high, not because I was the most qualified or the most prepared, but because I decided to believe I deserved the seat. That belief changed everything. That energy made people believe it too, so wear the confidence, put it on like your favorite outfit. Adjust it when it feels off, polish it when it gets dull, and never take it off just because someone else feels uncomfortable. You'll be amazed how far you can go just by deciding that you already belong and walking like you mean it, because confidence isn't about always being sure, it's about showing up anyway. Failure, it's such a scary word, isn't it? We're taught to fear it from such a young age, that if you fail, something is wrong with you, that it's shameful, embarrassing, the end of the road. But let me tell you something, failure is not the villain in your story. It's actually one of the best teachers you'll ever have. It's honest, it's brutal, but it's also transformational, and more importantly, it doesn't deserve your tears. I've failed more times than I can count. I've done movies that tanked at the box office, projects I believed in with all my heart that just didn't work. I've walked out of auditions knowing I messed up. I've been rejected, doubted, misunderstood. And every time I had two options, cry and crumble, or learn and rise. I won't lie to you, some failures hurt deeply, some knocked the wind out of me, but I learned to stop letting failure define me. I refuse to give it that power, because here's the thing, failure is not personal. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's a part of the process. If you're doing anything brave, anything bold, anything that pushes boundaries, you will fail. That's just the cost of doing something meaningful. So when you do fall, and don't make it a tragedy, make it a lesson, cry for a moment if you must, but then get up, wipe your face, and move forward like a force. You don't grow from your wins, you grow from your losses, you grow from being uncomfortable, from the moments that stretch you, break you, and force you to rebuild stronger. If everything came easy, you'd never know your own strength. If you never stumbled, you'd never learn how to stand taller. I remember when I did Love Story 2050, a big film early in my career. So much was riding on it. We had a massive budget, heavy promotions, high expectations. And it failed hard. Critics tore it apart, audiences stayed away. It was humiliating, but that experience taught me more about resilience than any of my hits. I learned how to handle disappointment. I learned how to take responsibility, and I learned how to come back with grace. That's the power of failure if you let it teach you. It will shape you into someone unstoppable. The problem is, most of us treat failure like a full stop. We sit in it, we soak in it, we carry the shame like a weight, but the truth is, failure only wins if you stop trying. As long as you keep moving, it's just a stepping stone. So don't give it your tears. Don't let it steal your joy, your fire, your ambition. Instead, thank it for showing you what doesn't work and go try something that does. You are allowed to fail. In fact, you are supposed to. That's how the best stories are written, with setbacks, comebacks, detours, and surprises. No one successful has a perfect record. We all have our scars. What matters is how we carry them. So the next time something doesn't work out, a job, a relationship, a dream, don't break down. Don't apologize. Don't question your worth. Just smile, straighten your shoulders, and say, not this time, but maybe next. Because failure doesn't define you, you define you, and you were never meant to stay down. You are made to rise. Peace, that's the real luxury in today's world. And once you find it, once you've worked through the chaos and grown through the noise to finally feel grounded in who you are, you protect it like royalty protects the crown. Like a queen guards her throne, because trust me, people will try to steal it. Not always intentionally, but through their energy, their drama, their opinions, and their expectations. And if you're not careful, you'll end up living someone else's life just trying to keep the peace outside, while sacrificing your own on the inside. I didn't always understand this. There was a time when I said yes too much. When I tried to be everything to everyone, when I let other people's moods dictate mine. But I learned sometimes the hard way that not everyone deserves access to you. Your peace is your power, and you don't hand that over for free. In this business and really, in life, there's always noise. There's always something pulling at you. A headline, a rumor, a toxic conversation, a draining person, a demand that feels like an obligation. And if you're not fiercely intentional, you'll get lost in it. You'll find yourself anxious, restless, reactive, and you won't even know why. So what do? You draw boundaries, clear, unapologetic ones. You stop picking up every call, answering every message, entertaining every opinion. You learn the power of no, not the rude, defensive kind, but the calm, self-respecting kind. The kind that says, I'm not available for anything that costs me my peace. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring more about the right things, your mental health, your time, your energy, your joy, because these things are sacred. You cannot show up for your dreams, your relationships, or your purpose if your spirit is constantly being drained. I treat my peace like it's the throne I sit on because it is. And just like a queen doesn't let just anyone walk into her palace, I don't let just anyone into my mental space. You have to be selective about what you allow and what you watch, what you listen to, who you follow, who you spend time with. Not everything deserves your attention. Not everyone deserves your response. Even on social media, there's always someone ready to criticize, mock, or pull you down. If I read every comment, I'd lose my mind, so I don't. I choose silence over reaction. I choose grace over pettiness. Not because I'm above it, but because I value peace more than proving a point, and let me say this peace isn't about perfection. It doesn't mean your life will be calm all the time. It means when things get loud, you know where to retreat. You know how to come back to yourself. Maybe it's your family, your faith, your morning coffee, your journal, your dog, whatever anchors you. Protect that with everything you've got. Because here's the truth. When you are calm, clear, and connected to your center, you are unstoppable. You make better decisions. You attract better people. You create from a place of wholeness instead of fear. And you don't waste time reacting to things that don't deserve you. So yes, protect your peace like a queen guards her throne. Build walls if you need to. Open the gates only to those who respect the palace, and never apologize for choosing yourself, because peace isn't a weakness. It's your quiet, unshakable strength. There is no rule book for how your life is supposed to unfold, and if there is, burn it, because the truth is you get to define your journey, you get to rewrite your story as many times as you need to. The world may try to box you in, label you, freeze you in one version of yourself, but you don't owe anyone consistency at the cost of your growth. You're allowed to evolve, and you're allowed to do it on your own terms. People love to keep you where they first found you. They'll say you've changed, like it's an insult. Yes, I've changed, that's the whole point. I didn't come into this world to stay small, to stay the same, or to stay stuck in other people's comfort zones. I came here to grow louder, deeper, stronger, and unapologetically myself. When I started my career in India, I was known as the beauty queen turned actress. Then I had to prove that I could actually act. Then I became a lead, then a risk taker, and when I moved to the U.S., I started from scratch again. I didn't carry over the fame, the followers, or the fanfare. I became the new girl, the outsider. I had to learn an entirely different industry, culture, pace. And many people asked me, why would you leave the top to start over? My answer was always simple, because I wasn't done growing. That's the thing. Evolution looks like a step back to people who don't understand the size of your vision. But you don't live for their understanding. You live for your expansion, for your purpose, for your next level. And evolution doesn't always mean changing jobs or countries. Sometimes it's changing your mindset, setting new boundaries, letting go of a version of yourself that was built out of fear. Sometimes it's realizing you no longer want what you once thought you did, and that's okay. You're not a robot. You're a living, breathing human being. You're supposed to shift and surprise yourself, but you must do it on your terms, because when you evolve to please others, it's not growth, it's performance. You end up exhausted, chasing expectations you never signed up for, but when you evolve from within, from your own desires, your own curiosity, your own need to expand, that's real power, that's authenticity. You'll outgrow places, people, patterns, and it might be uncomfortable. Some people will fall away. Some will try to guilt you into staying the same, but don't shrink to make them comfortable. Don't delay your becoming because someone else doesn't understand your blooming. You don't owe anyone a lifetime subscription to a version of you that no longer exists. I've been an actress, a producer, a singer, a UNICEF ambassador, a tech investor, a wife, a mother. Each role taught me something new. Each one helped me grow, but none of them defined me. What defines me is my courage to keep choosing myself over and over, even when it's scary, even when it's messy, even when no one else sees the vision yet. So evolve out loud, unapologetically, and if it makes people uncomfortable, let it. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to become someone you're proud of, and the most beautiful part. You never have to stop. You can evolve for the rest of your life. Just make sure you're the one writing the story. We live in a world that loves to shout. Everyone's talking, everyone's posting, everyone's trying to be seen. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with celebrating yourself. But there's a difference between seeking attention and commanding respect. Real power, real success, doesn't need to announce itself. It shows up and speaks for you, loudly, silently, without you ever needing to raise your voice. I've always believed that you don't need to scream to be heard, you just need to do the work, and let the results speak for themselves. Talk less, do more. That's a mantra I've lived by since the beginning of my career. When I started, people didn't think I had what it takes. There were whispers, just a pretty face. She won a pageant, but can she act? I heard it all. But instead of reacting, I redirected. I poured myself into the work. Role after role, set after set, I put in the hours. I took the criticism and turned it into fuel. And eventually, the same people who doubted me couldn't ignore the noise of my success. That's what happens when you stay focused, when you stop explaining yourself and start executing. The world notices, and the best part, you didn't have to prove anything, you just had to become it. Success is the loudest statement you can ever make, and you don't even have to say a word. It's in the choices you make, the consistency, the late nights, the evolution. It's in how you carry yourself in rooms where no one expected you to belong, and how you own the space anyway. It's in the way you rise from failure, how you hold your dignity when people test your patience, how you stay grounded when the applause comes. I'm not saying never speak. I'm saying speak after you've done the work. Let your life be your response. Let your achievements be your comeback, because in the end, nothing silences doubt like undeniable results, and don't confuse noise with impact. There are people who will scream their wins before they've even started. They'll market the idea of success before they've earned the reality of it. But real winners, they're often quiet in the beginning, because they're busy, building, learning, failing in silence, getting better. Preparing for a moment that doesn't require hype, just presence. When I moved into global entertainment, I didn't hold a press conference. I didn't make grand declarations. I just showed up. I took roles that stretched me. I kept my head down and worked until I didn't have to explain why I was in the room, because the work had already opened the doors. That's the kind of success I'm talking about. It's not about rubbing it in. It's about letting your glow do the talking. There's power in restraint, in letting your progress be the proof. You don't need to clap for yourself constantly. Let the world do it when they see what you've built. So stay quiet when you need to, protect your goals, protect your process. Not everyone needs to know what you're up to. And when you're ready, let the results be so undeniable that they speak louder than any caption, any speech, or any post ever could. Let your success walk into every room before you do, and let it make the noise.